I joined around February-ish. And it's hard to believe all this happened in less than a year. Well, it wasn't February, I'm not quite sure. It's been so long. But I joined Doom when it was going pretty badly for the regiment, number-wise at least. There wasn't a lot of troops, and they needed people, and
Oh, what's wrong?
I liked the idea of being the best regiment of all and helping lead others with an example to look up to. Was fantastic in there because everyone was so honest with each other. Because the original base was just a couple of corridors, and that tight space let everyone get to know each other really well. And we were all teammates. The training was fun, and we all became friends. And then we got the new base when it was updated. See the commanders at all times. You could always see the commanders in their room. They didn't just disappear behind a locked door and then you never saw them. You could see them at the command deck through a window. And if you waved, they would wave. And if they waved, you would wave. They'd play music over the radio. They'd just chat with us.
Person here for me.
Fantastic. And of course, the new base had the benefits of the portals, which gave us the best response time possible to a raid. Because rather than having to go through the Venator to get to where the raid was happening, we could just jump straight in the portal, and we were there. The whole system where we got together legitimately. I mean, because it was such a small space, we got to know each other really well, both in-game and real life. And a lot of the times you'd have people talking about their real problems, such as loved ones passing away, split-ups,
in a bit,
losing pets.
He did tell me
everything.
Yeah. I had a we talked about that.
And we always went through shit. We were always there for each other. And even when there was a raid that we had to report to, we were always there. So even if we went through a situation where everyone was in a tough spot, we still would do our job. And we'd do it well. The best that you would ever see. The response time was incredible. And we always kept the raid under control in less than 10 minutes most of the time. Which in itself was amazing. Of course, there were the instances where sometimes people just would ask for help and we would end up in the wrong instance. But, of course, we got a new base. And the communication was fantastic. We got a new pool table, got new armor. When people had, like, problems, like someone passed away, they would come to us to talk to us about it and stay with us and just do our jobs. Well, they did that because it's not.
I mean, I would do it.
It shows something, doesn't it? It shows that they trusted us the most to talk about it, because a lot of these people don't have many other people to talk to about other than the rest of their family, which already know the situation. But that shows the amount of trust that we had as a family. We weren't just another regiment.
A lot of people show trust, but one thing that also has to be understood is that people aren't going to play their whole hand. Like for instance,
it's understood.
Sometimes in poker, you're going to show everything. Like me, I'll play my cards on my sleeve. I'm not going to bluff. If I got something good, I got something good. If I don't, I'm out. The odds are bad, I'm not doing it. But that's me.
I know that.
And not everybody's like me. Sometimes they're like you, and you'll place certain bets. The same as anybody in here. You'd place your own personal bets. The idea of it all is that for what you're willing to bet, make sure you got enough back in yourself that you'll be okay in the end. I think that's something that everybody needs to, especially about this. Yeah, make sure you're going to be better off and you're comfortable with it. Or don't do it in the first place.
I've not only placed my bet, but I've made my bed and I'm lying in it now for bringing back Doom. And I have
I know you are.
the proof to back it up, because
Hmm.
we were more
I
effective
feel like you are.
than
You might be
either
deceiving me.
Shock Riot
There's always that
Troopers
possibility nowadays in
or
2022. But I
the
believe you.
187th. We were more effective than both of our replacements. We were more important than our replacements. We had importance lore-wise. Sure, Shock Riot existed, but that was only really when you saw the clones getting arrested. And the 187th started off as a shiny regiment in this clan, Milsom, whatever you want to call it. They scrapped Doom with no warning.
The biggest
I-
thing that I believe it comes down to is that they basically replaced Doom with 187th. I believe it was 187th, right?
I know,
Or am
yeah,
getting
I'm,
that
I'm,
wrong?
I'm telling the story as it
I'm
as it
pretty
is,
sure
and
it's
you'll-
187th.
I'm telling the story and you'll understand it by the end. Like, on the last day of Doom, for most of us it was just another normal day. Logged on, grabbed your weapon, stood at your post. Of course, this was the new base and everything was fine and chill, and we were normal, talking about stuff. We were having a bit of fun as well. Some people up on the sniper's walkway, doing some 360 no scopes, which was a bit of fun. And then I got called up to the commander's office, and I was informed that I was being considered to be the head of the heavy squadron of Doom, which was basically, if regular Doom troopers couldn't handle a riot, they'd call in the heavy unit. And at this point I was a sergeant. And when I got this news, I was obviously quite excited, because it would mean, one, I get a more important role, two, I get to wear the grey armor, and three, I get to help the regiment more. And I left that commander room feeling so happy and filled with pride at the fact that I had shown enough skill to get considered for it. And then, not even 10 minutes later, we get an announcement on Discord
You did actually share this with me. I saw these
from
photos.
from Sanders, where he just straight up says,
Well, maybe not from Sanders, but I did see announcements.
well, the
Yeah.
owner at the time, he just straight up said, out of nowhere, sorry, but your regiment's being scrapped. You can either go to the Separatists or join another regiment, and the Doom chat and channels will be deleted tomorrow. Which officially started the countdown of basically, like, if you were to get evicted from your house and your family ended up getting split off into different countries, and you only had one day to grab everything and say goodbye to everyone. That's how it felt. Because we didn't get any advanced warning. We just got a normal day. I almost got a promotion. Everyone else was happy, and then just all of a sudden everything got ripped from us. We were effectively homeless, because the commando droids were going to get our base, which they did. And we didn't have a job anymore. And after everything we'd done for the Republic, we were all feeling betrayed. I still am. Of course, as a result of this, most Doom veterans went to the Separatists. I stayed in the Republic because I believed in what we fought for in Doom wasn't for nothing. And as a result, I joined the closest thing I had to my old job, which was the Shock Riot Troopers, which was effectively our replacement. Now, this was not the best. I was stuck on the Venator in a place where people going in and out, who I didn't know, who weren't talkative, and it was just very antisocial, I suppose. And
Yeah, the Venator's always like
when
that.
it came to raid response, Well, Riot wasn't as effective as Doom by a long shot. Instead of having the entire response team as one regiment dedicated to defense in one room where you could easily get to them, you had Riot troopers guarding the Venator or Coruscant or just going to other planets and being dickheads, which not only gave Riot a bad rep, but it also made it harder to do our jobs effectively, because instead of the Doom unit just charging to the planet altogether and getting rid of the raid, you'd have Riot troopers going to different instances, so some troops would end up in an instance with no raid, some people would end up in the raid but with not enough troopers to back them up, so they'd end up just getting slaughtered, effectively making Riot a very bad replacement from the way it was set up to positions and where you were guarding for the day to if a raid happened. And of course, just recently, they scrapped Riot and effectively gave raid defense to the 187th, which had me and the rest of the other Doom veterans that were still here shocked. Because when they scrapped Doom, initially they also scrapped the old 187th at the same time. They never really gave a proper reason for scrapping Doom. By the time we were told after we were gone that it was either between Shock or Doom getting scrapped, and they chose Doom. And at the same time as they scrapped Doom, they scrapped the 187 because they were just another shiny regiment that wasn't required. And then of course we all went to Shock Riot, for those that stayed in the Republic, and yada yada yada, and all of a sudden they bring back the 187th as an elite regiment, which is questionable because they started off as a shiny and now they're randomly back and they're elite. Why would you scrap them and then bring them back as a whole new thing
There's
and just
something I
put
didn't
elite
think about beforehand.
in their title? And then
Yeah, perhaps
they
there's somebody
scrapped
that
Riot.
supports that title, and that's what it came down to.
They scrap Riot, and then they give the 187 the job of raid defense, which really pissed me and the other veterans off. Why would they bring back the 187 just to end up giving it raid defense when they scrapped the raids defense regiment that was trained for it and didn't bring it back? There's clearly an end goal there. They brought back the 187th for a reason, but it wasn't specific. And it looks like now they did it specifically so they would get raid defense to replace the terrible Riot system. But funnily enough, the first raid that they were, I got a report saying that the 187th didn't respond. Their raid system didn't work, so no one got a report, and no one could get to them physically. You couldn't find them. So the raid happened, and a lot of people were pissed off at that. And that proves my point. The new regiment, which was originally a shiny regiment, with no experience or veterans of raid defense, was given the title. When they scrapped that regiment and the defense regiment just a few months ago. And then they bring back the one regiment that didn't have experience of raid defense, and then they let them do raid defense. It makes you question why. It's pointless. If you'd rather have the regiment dedicated to building a family upon and working as a group, because the whole existence of Doom was raid defense. The whole point of it was raid defense. Why would you get rid of it and then the 187 just to bring the 187 back a few months later and give them the job of Doom? If you'd rather have an experienced regiment with veterans willing to fight for the Republic, if you bring them back, or a regiment that has absolutely no history in the defense skills. Sorry, I'm talking a lot of shit right now, but It's factual. Would you rather have Doom, an
Fun.
experienced unit, or the 187th with absolutely no experience or veterans, and trust them with defending the other regiments in their times of need? I know, and it shows the 187th is not what it claims to be. They were scrapped for a reason, and that was because they were useless. And then they're randomly brought back with a purpose. A stupid decision.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
in
I
my
think
opinion.
the people at the top are looking at both of them the same. Like, we got
I
rid
know,
of both
but
of these things, you know.
you got rid of the defense regiment and the shiny regiment, and then you bring back the shiny regiment for raid defense. But then you don't even
Yeah,
consider
because it's
Doom.
shiny.
But shiny means new, inexperienced, not
Yeah,
yet properly
That's it. I think that's probably what it is.
combat.
That's probably what they're
I know.
bringing in, because then they can siphon people that are joining into this other group.
But you'd think that they'd want Doom back with the amount of veterans they have
You
willing to
would
come
think
back.
they would want that, but that doesn't mean they don't.
Experienced.
That doesn't mean
I know.
they do. To be fair,
I-
you know what I'm
I
saying.
know,
We've
and-
already talked.
Yes, I know, that's the problem. Like, would you guys rather have Doom or the 187th to rely on?
Doom.
Doom.
Like,
Honestly,
I'm not
Doom
claiming-
sounds a lot
I
better.
wasn't-
To
I
be
wasn't
fair,
here when
even
Doom was
without
actually
knowing what
here.
I know.
But 187th is ass. Just gonna say.
I'm not claiming Doom was perfect. I'm not claiming we were always able to make it to the raid. I'm not claiming we were always able to sort out the problems. Hell, when I joined, Doom itself had a bad reputation, and we put in a hell of a lot of effort just to try and change the perception Doom got from the rest of the Republic. And
So you
after
put
so
a lot of
much,
effort in to make sure that you
did-
could
we full on-
turn the public.
we campaigned so that people would see that Doom wasn't a bad regiment. The
That was
The
my
thing that
goal.
broke my heart the most, I know that some people just don't care, but it was the first regiment I joined. It's the first time I formed a family online where they were enough to talk about their serious real-life situations, at least to the extent they were willing to talk to them about, and they came to us to talk about it. And the thing that broke my heart was, after everything we did for the Republic, they just scrapped us like that, like nothing. Like a broken down blaster that fired its last shot. They didn't even give us a second thought. But after everything we did for the entire Republic, the one time
Speaking to the microphone.
we needed everyone's backing, we didn't get anything. We didn't get
Oh,
any
and-
support.
Yeah, so you remember the Connor?
No one questioned the decision. No one stood up for us. At this point, I'm fighting a losing battle, or at least a one-man war. Because even on the server that we've made to revive Doom, there's some prat in there who's had all these fancy high ranks, called Armstrong, who says that, like, he basically mocks me for wanting to bring back the regiment. And keep in mind, he never served in Doom. He never served in Doom. He never donned the armor. He never defended a raid. But he came in, and he's still doing it, insulting the idea, ruining Doom to the point where he's calling us lazy, ineffective, useless, rubbish. Pieces of shit that just had to be burned. And his claims, I can't blame him for all he's saying. Half of it's true. Whenever he was on, he's claiming, and there was a raid at Camino, he called for Doom support, and he says he never got it. Now, I can't say if he's telling the truth or not, but I can't see any reason as to why he would lie. And it's possible, like I said earlier, the way the system was run, the game would put us into different instances. We'd all be together as Doom, but we could end up in an instance that there wasn't a raid. Or we could end up in the instance where the raid's slap bam going on. In the latter, we'd get the situation sorted in less than 10 minutes and everyone would be fine. In the former, usually by the time we realize, well, we'd spawn in, there's no raids, we'd get back to the Venator and go back to wherever the raid was happening, it was already over. And we got a bad rap for not being there in time. And I apologize for that, but that's out of our hands. There's only so much we can do when the game decides where you go in the end.
Well,
But that
hopefully
doesn't give him the excuse to say that we were lazy pieces of shit that never did anything useful. We fought so hard during those raids. I'm starting to sound like this is a real thing, but it is to me because they were my family. Doom was a family. The fact that they just scrapped us for no reason is fucking ridiculous and replaced us with the 187th, which is pointless. We fought desperately and difficulty at every fucking raid because there was so much chaos, and we had to see that on a daily basis. It got to us. And I'm not letting this guy, Armstrong, say the fact that he never saw us when he was on. Mean
Yeah,
in
so you wanna
stone
know
that we
something?
never did anything. The point is, I'm not letting his version be carved in stone
No,
forever.
you're fine. Yeah.
We weren't lazy. You couldn't be there all the time, and just because he wasn't there doesn't mean that we never left our base. Just because he wasn't there when we fought doesn't mean that it didn't happen. As they say,
Mm,
history is written by the victor, not the loser.
I suppose.
Point is,
more likely I can.
given all the evidence, the logic, oh, and the fact that they also blew up Ringo Vinda from the commando droids, and I also brought it up that if we brought back Doom, I got questioned, where would they be stationed? And I said the most logical thing, just rebuild Ringo Vinda. Like, it's the Galactic Republic. You're not gonna... It's... even in real life, if you lost a base to the enemy, and then you blew up the base, and then the enemy withdrew from that
Just need
area,
a copy of the Venator.
it would make sense just to rebuild the base.
Fair enough.
And I got argued back that that would break the law. Rebuilding Ringo Vinda and putting the Doom unit back there would completely shatter the law. It would destroy the immersion. And yet, they gave an attack battalion the job of defending against raids. They blew up Ringo Vinda, when I'm pretty sure that didn't officially happen in lore. And this Milsim clan, whatever you want to call it, has done so many things that aren't specifically lore. For example, like you said earlier, Cabbage, technically the 212 lost the Battle of Fort Naxos, but in the
that
clan,
was the lore that I was given.
yeah,
We,
the
we
lore,
technically lost.
yeah, in the lore you lost, but in the clan you won.
Yeah,
That's
we
what I'm
did.
saying.
I'm pretty sure it was like 3 out of 4 instances, and I'm pretty sure 3 out of 4 won.
And that's fine, because that means that you've changed the law. They're claiming that if you
Wait, what?
rebuild a base, that breaks the immersion.
Yeah.
But yet you've just changed the outcome of the
But they
war
didn't,
possibly by
because,
winning one
Like what I
battle.
was telling you was they didn't break the immersion. What they did was they were saying this went with the lore. We lost that battle, like by the lore standards. So basically,
They hold it to the
all
law,
those
but
battles I was there for in that other instance and changing instance
They-
and all this shit
I
was for
understand.
no reason.
They cannot, by any means, expect real people from the real world the entire Clone Wars tooth and nail in detail. They cannot expect that, because in a battle lore-wise that the droids win, the clones could come out on top when it's PvP. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you won, but the law says you're lost, so...
Except you.
And they go on about the fact that rebuilding the Doom base would just break the law. But at this point, we can't follow the law when real people are involved. You can follow the law when you're writing a comic or developing a video game about people who are already written. The backstory is already there for them. Their life has basically already been lived. But when it comes to real people and applying that to the same rules, it's not what this clan's about. This clan is meant to be its own lore, its own version of the Clone Wars, an alternate Clone Wars. We can't have people reference it to the actual lore when real people get involved. Because it's like fire and water. One of them's only good when you need it to be. It works fine by itself, but when the two clash, they don't go together. The water always comes out on top, and in this instance, the people change the lore. Our actions in these events that we create shape the way our history should be told in this clan.
Mm-hmm.
If the clones win by lore, but in the clan, the droids succeed, we cannot just dismiss the droids' efforts and say, you tried, and you technically won, but the lore says the clones did. So take this bandage for that cut on your arm, and get back out there. Can't do that. I'm just saying, with all the evidence I've presented, and my personal history with this issue, the question ultimately comes down to this. Would we rather be run by someone who makes final decisions without a proper vote from everyone involved, and ultimately can end up having people form bonds that they never expected to in his server, only for him to take them away without even giving a heads up? Doom was my internet family. It was the only group where I could actually go talk to people about my problems. For a lot of people, especially kids these days, that's the only way they can see people. In the sense that they can see their friends, they can talk to them because they've developed enough trust to believe in them, to be there to support them. But the owner just got rid of it. When he scrapped Doom, he didn't just scrap a regiment. He didn't just replace the armor. He broke a family apart. One that had done so much for not only the clan, but each regiment individually. So much so that I refused to leave the Doom map after everyone else was gone. For 8 hours, I stayed on that map. From the evening of the day before all the way into the morning, I didn't leave. Because I knew if I did, the map would be gone forever.
Yeah.
And it is. So by default, this hurts even more because I was the last commander of the regiment. By default, because everyone else with the rank had left. And those that were beneath me said their final farewells and left. We had one party. I had one day to say goodbye, and that was it. With the evidence I've presented, and the history I've given you of my backstory, I feel like it isn't fair that our cries to be brought back, for us to have our purpose back again, rather than replaced by these
I
knockoffs
don't know if you guys
at the
feel like me,
187,
but
as a result, with all the evidence I've presented and my backstory. It's not fair that we get thrown away and mocked, ignored, sidelined for wanting to come back to what we were good at, what we did for the Milsim. Instead of being replaced by the 187th with no combat experience in raid defense, who themselves were scrapped originally at the same time as Doom. Because they were a shiny regiment back then. They had no purpose. And then they brought back the 187th for no obvious reason, out of the blue. Give them raid defense. Why must a regiment that only existed originally to house the newbies until they decided to go to another regiment to make their own history, instead of bringing that back, why not bring back us, who had fought for so damn long, through so many raids, to prove that we mattered, to prove that we deserved to be called Doom? Why not bring us back? What happened to us? Doom was scrapped, and now no one cares, and every time we make a claim to bring us back, we prove our points, but we're met with deaf ears. Or those that answer only care to mock us, but hoping for something that'll never come. The irony is, we fought for a democracy, but we didn't get a say in our demise. Bring back Doom, please.
I mean, is this not